Help me to stay competitive against the big multinational corporations by subscribing to this channel, hitting the notification bell, liking the video, and maybe leaving a comment in the comment sections below. Thank you very much and enjoy the video. Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hodcast. Okay, I don't like doing these type of videos, but I have to do them to highlight to the world what is exactly happening in countries such as Sweden, for example. So what we're about to do is we're going to watch the video of a Swedish girl who's in her home country, who hasn't done any wrong to anyone, who gets attacked viciously by fake refugees, or future doctors and engineers. I think that's the way the mainstream media and the business as usual politicians describe them. And they're shouting in Arabic, and the girl herself is curled up in a ball trying to protect herself. It's not the best viewing. This isn't going to be a funny or light-hearted video, but it's something that I and a lot of other people feel you need to see in order to get an idea of what's really happening in the world, because you're just not going to get that from the mainstream media. And then after that, we will have some charts and graphs showing the skyward climb of crime and immigration in Sweden. So with that out of the way, let's watch the video, which was filmed on a smartphone, a cell phone. And so here we go. Make of it what you will.
Fucking bitches, mannen. Bitches, man, bitches. Backa revbenen, backa revbenen, stampa revbenen, nej. Kom igen. Stampa, döda henne. Backa revbenen.
How bad was that? She didn't ask for it. She didn't provoke them in any way. We know this is a problem in Sweden, that local Swedish girls are having to take some of the most drastic precautions you can think of in order just to stay safe in their own country and in their own communities. Over the years, before I started this podcast, what I call the Hodcast, I have heard many horror stories of Swedish girls, and to a lesser extent German girls and French girls, but for context sake, we're talking about Sweden here, of Swedish girls who are having to, blonde girls, like the girl you saw, she was blonde, having to dye their hair dark. Some of them even choose to cover their head, tragically cover their head with a headscarf. And they're not Muslim girls, they are Western Swedish girls who are having to dye their hair and then cover their hair with a headscarf just to avoid this type of thing that you saw, and worse, believe it or not. And I know this is probably going to sound bad, but it's the truth. What actually happened to that girl in terms of the type of crimes that are happening in Sweden at the moment, being perpetuated by the future doctors and engineers against Swedish people of Swedish stock, that was pretty benign. There have been all kinds of attacks on Swedish people. In fact, you know what? I will show you the video of the Swedish boy who actually got... Actually, no, I won't. This is YouTube. But let me tell you something. There's a video going around it was on Twitter. It can be seen quite easily, of a gang of future doctors and engineers urinating on a person of Swedish stock. And it was a boy this time, but they assaulted him quite badly, and then they proceeded to urinate on him, which is obviously disgusting, because it adds quite literally, it is adding insult to injury. But going back to what we just saw today, that was actually quite benign. I mean, there have been cases of future doctors and engineers engaging in what I can only describe as Epsteinism on Swedish girls, filming it and passing it around, and passing the girl around like she's a toy to be used, which is obviously a very bad thing. So with that out of the way, I want to show you some stats, some graphs, and some charts which highlight probably why Sweden is facing these problems. Okay, so what you can see on your screen here is two graphs side by side. One on the left of your screen here shows the immigration and emigration rates into Sweden, and on the right of your screen here it shows the assaults against women and girls in Sweden and the rate at which they've increased over time. Now, on the left here, the purple bar is the migration into Sweden, and the red bar is the emigration out of Sweden. And as you can see, Sweden has had a vastly, especially over the last few years with Angela Merkel of Germany and her "we can do this" infamous speech in which she consigned Europe to the trash heap of history by opening it up in the way that countless civilizations have regretted, going way back to the Roman era. But anyway, I digress. So the real, on the left-hand image, the real thing we need to take heed of is the purple bar, which, as you can see, from 29, 10, 11, it's been steadily climbing. There was a steep climb in 2005 after the Iraq and Afghan wars. Then it remained stable until around the time Angela Merkel started opening her big mouth, and then it just spiked like nobody's business. And this is because a lot of the time they will phone back to the home countries where they say that their family are dead, or they say that they can't go back, which is all a lie. And they'll say, look, you have to come to Sweden. So we're killing it here. Sweden is so good for us. We can do what we like, when we like, and not only will no one stop us, but they will even defend us while we're doing it, which is something we're seeing in Sweden. And then, of course, no surprise, bearing in mind all we know what is happening in Sweden, we see this on the right-hand side, which is the assaults against women and girls rising, and then they just go through the roof and this only goes up to 2011. And that was around here then. And as you can see, from the year 2000, so it starts here. Okay, on here. That starts there. And as you see, 2000 here goes up. 2000 goes up. You see? We know that these two things are correlated together. I wish they weren't. Nobody wants this to be a phenomenon, but I'm afraid the facts speak for themselves. And this is a large part in due to why Sweden is actually now starting to reconsider taking official statistics, or they massage the statistics so it creates an inaccurate picture of what's happening, because they don't want people like you and me making these two correlations. And finally, I would like to show you a much longer and much more comprehensive chart which charts Sweden's crimes, and it gives you not just the assaults that we've been discussing, but a variety of different crime statistics all together. And as you can see here, we have robbery, which is this dark blue line here. As you can see, it is steadily increased since 1976 to 2016. The orange line here is the R word against women and girls. And as you can see, from 2004 and upwards, there was a noticeable spike, just like the two graphs you saw moments ago, which I showed you, the spike that in both migration, net migration increases and assaults of that nature. Then we have murders, which has remained fairly stable despite in 2010 when there was a little increase, but murder has generally maintained its trajectory. But then when it comes to crimes against women and girls classed as all, so that encompasses all of them, including the orange bar, we see this gigantic spike here over the last 15 years, over the last generation or so. So a generation ago, it was just it was rising, but not by a noticeable leap. But then around 2006 to 2010, when the West started to really kick up this politically correct, invite in all and sundry, no borders type of stuff, we see increases across this particular type of crime, increases across the board when it comes to assaults of that nature on native women and females who are just trying to go about their lives in a peaceful manner. We see these spikes again and again and again. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment sections below. I'll keep you up to date if I find out any new information. I will also leave in the description box the link to the video so you can go and watch it for yourself if you so choose. Big shout out to Peter Sweden. He is one of the people I always go to. I don't know him personally, but I follow him, and he is the person I always go to. Him and Sanity for Sweden are the people I always go to in order to get my news in regards to what's happening in Sweden. Thank you very much for watching the video. I apologise, I know it wasn't particularly a upbeat video, but then again, most things in the culture war and the reality of the failure of multiculturalism, or what Emmanuel Macron would call communitarianism, is not something that's particularly joyful or happy or pleasant to talk about. Anyway, thank you for watching, free thinkers. I'll see you in the next one. Please like, share this video, that really helps me grow. Comment down in the comments, let me know what you think, but most importantly, if you can share this video around your friends and family, because that helps us stay competitive with the big mainstream media organisations. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.